Alright, today's video, I got a B&M short shifter and these GK Tech shifter springs that keeps the tightness from left to right for my 240SX. All this is because I'm replacing my old Reliable right here. Let me see if I can get it better. There you go. Decided to go legit and buy this B&M. And also, you can probably see how much play that transmission mount has. So I ended up buying a new transmission mount also. So hopefully it's going to be nice, tighter shifting and no play in the transmission itself. This is the OEM slop on the shifter. So you got slop right there, and here's the throws: first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. So we're in third right now with the slop. I'm gonna see how far the throw is from third to fourth, since it's straight back. It's about 3.5 inches. Probably the same for first to second. Yeah, it's 3.5 inches or so of throw from the front to the rear. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take off the plate. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off so I can have more room to pry on the plate. Just get the C-clip, squeeze it, pull it up, shifter comes right out. I'm going to use a punch and a hammer to try to get a lip. There you go. And there's your shift rod that goes to your the shifting forks. Make sure you put like some towels right there so you don't get any debris in there. Now with one of these little rough pads, I'm going to clean off the surface area so I can lay a bead of silicone on the new shifter. And if you have a compressor, or get one of these air nozzles so you can blow out the oil that's sitting in here. So when you put your silicone and you put down the plate, the oil doesn't seep up and then kind of create a little hole. If you don't have a compressor, just grab one of those little compressed cans and it'll be fine. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take off the two caps on the side for the shifter springs. One cap on either side. It's a 27 millimeter. All the spring is doing is just keeping tension on this little plunger, which is attached to the inside. So when you go to shift left or right or neutral, that plunger just gets pushed out and it's held in by the cap, and the spring is just pushing back on that plunger. Same thing on the other side. And the left side right here is the OEM one. Right side is, you can see, the aftermarket one. This one's stiffer. Compared to this. So you can go do a mixture of different springs for how tight you want to do. You got your stiffest ones right here, second stiffest, and then your dual support one. So once you put the shifter in, play around with whatever spring setup you want to do. I'm going to go for just a slight bit tighter than this. which I believe is probably this one, the middle range one. Alright, like I said, I'm going to go with the middle range. I'm going to just try it out with the by itself. I'm going to put it back on. Don't need a lot of torque on that. And now with your shifter springs installed, feels just a little bit tighter, nothing crazy. Now with the fresh glove that has no oil, no water, no nothing, get your ultra black RTV, maximum oil resistant. I'm gonna put it on my finger and lay a thin slab around. I don't like laying a bead because I don't want, when I put the plate on, it expand on both sides and some of it's sitting down here. If you want to do it, by all means. Now that you got your silicone on there, brake clean this bottom of the plate and then we'll put it on. Now we're going to put it in. Now with it installed, let's try out the gears. Let's go to first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. Let's go ahead and measure it, see what the throw is now. It's gonna be third, so that's straight up. Before it was 3.5. Now it's 2 3/4. Yeah, so about 2 3/4. I mean, I can't really do it professionally that it's moving, but it's a lot shorter of a throw, a lot tighter. Now we're going to do the transmission mount. Let's see how sloppy this is. So I'm going to take off these 2 bolts. There's 14mm on this side and on that other side. And this whole bracket will come off, and then we'll pull off the mount from the bracket after. Gotta take off those 2 nuts right there. Yeah, I shouldn't be able to move that by hand. That's how weak this old bushing is. Now it's done painted. Doesn't look as bad. I'm not going crazy with the paint on this one. We can go ahead and install it. And now we put the actual mount back against the transmission plate. Here's the old throwout bearing noise. Here's a new one. Alright, to remove this throwout bearing assembly, there's 2 clips. One on, or it's one like giant C-clip that sits behind the fork. The fork is right behind this assembly. You just got to take off either side of these clips, spread them out over the fork, and this whole assembly will come off. This slip right here, or this side of the ring, and this one, they sit on the back side of this. So you just gotta pry it out so it's not holding it anymore against it. So it's not holding the fork against these ears. Alright, so the throwout bearing is pressed in and it's butted up against this ring assembly. So So what I'm going to do is, since we're not going to reuse this bearing, I'm going to put the back flats on the vise, and I'm going to find a socket that sits on the inside ring and hammer it out. Alright, this 30mm socket that I found sits perfectly inside with just that little bit of play so it doesn't get stuck onto the throwout bearing. And there you go. Alright, I have this 35 from whenever I needed it on a car. I'm gonna use, and all I'm gonna do is use this and then put the backside on, and we're just gonna compress it with a vise. You want to make sure that you're not on the actual outer ring and only on the inner ring. So once you're tight and the throwout bearing still moves, that means you're good. And there you go. When she's all the way bottomed out, you can see the ring already hitting. And now with your new assembled setup, we're gonna put our ring back on. We just gotta line up these ears with the fork, and then we're just gonna have to pry this over the fork on the back side, and same with this one on the back side. And there you go. You got your ears on the fork, you got your retaining clip on the back side of the fork, and now you got your throwout bearing. Alright. And after all this, now you got your new shifter, new trans mount, and your new throwout bearing. Now the transmission's ready to go. Have a good one.